Stay frosty and head over to ezmutt.com for the cheapest mutt coins on the market. When I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 45 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 8% off. Kia ora, brothers. What's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, it's another round of Victory Monday. Oh, and what a week. What a Victory Monday it is for the Chargers fans, and Justin Herbert. Guys, that live stream was absolutely insane. The moment that Justin Herbert broke the record for touchdowns by a rookie quarterback, I was going crazy. The chat was going crazy. I don't know, man. Like, I feel so lucky that I got to share that moment with you guys. As they say, man, the crowd went absolutely wild. And just like LaDainian Tomlinson did back in 2006, this record was broken versus the Broncos. And with that win, that puts the Chargers at now 6-9. Nice. And with it, it does feel like the Chargers are building up a bit of steam. I still don't have a lot of confidence in guys like Tony, Anthony Lynn, but I do see Justin Herbert kind of figuring things out. We're starting to close out some games. And this is really good pertaining to the 2021 season. These last couple of games, like I keep saying, are very important to kind of evaluate what you need going into 2021. Look at the strengths of your quarterback, Justin Herbert, and figure out ways that you want to build around him. And I saw a lot of really good stuff in this game that can kind of point the arrow in the right direction of what to do this upcoming offseason. It's going to be one of the most important offseasons we've had in a long time. Now that we know what we have in Justin Herbert, it's time to start building around him, elevating him, because he does give us our best chance to win. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the good and maybe some of the bad stuff that we can improve on and think about going into week 17 and beyond into the 2021 offseason. Now, before we do get started, I kind of teased this in my live stream, and I'm not going to officially announce it until I have the item in my hand, but I have secured something pretty spectacular that pertains to my next giveaway. And guys, this thing is absolutely insane. I cannot wait to show it to you. This one's going to be going to members of my crew as a thank you for helping support this channel, keep the lights on, and keep me coming back doing what I do. If you're not a member of my crew, it's totally fine, man. I'll take care of you guys in another giveaway coming up in the next few weeks. But if you would like to join my crew, you can hit up the join button underneath this video or in the top right hand side of my channel. There's also a link in the description for those of you who cannot find those. In joining my crew, you guys get things like custom emotes, which we're going to be adding a few more here very shortly, members only chat, and getting your name in the end credits of my videos. It's a great way to support me, support the channel, keep the lights on, and honestly just grow an awesome community that we've been growing here on YouTube. Well, guys, let's get into this week 16 victory over the Broncos. Before we do get rolling, hit us up with a like and sub. Dudes, we're like so close to 25,000. Can we close out the year with 25K? Let's make it happen. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. It is Victory Monday yet again here on the channel, and dudes, I am definitely not sick of it yet. The Chargers are now 6-9. Nice. Again. And again, we're starting to pick up some steam. I'm starting to see good things from Justin Herbert in closing out games. So we're going to kind of split this into the pros and cons, doing it a little bit different than we normally do on this channel, but I did want to start off by giving a huge shout out to Nasir Adderley and the special teams. Isn't it kind of wild? Nasir Adderley has been a topic of conversation for Chargers fans this year because a lot of people feel like he's not living up to his expectations after being drafted in the second round a few years ago. And honestly, it kind of blows. But all of a sudden, you put him at returner on special teams, and special things are happening. It's kind of reminiscent of the good old days with Desmond King. And really, this is something that I wouldn't have pegged him for as far as a returner on special teams. That was a good decision by the coaching staff this year. I hope they continue to let him play that role, because honestly, right now at safety, we might have to look at something like someone to bring in to help transition him into that role, but he does have a place on this squad now as returner, and that's really good to see. Again, if you guys need proof, here it is. 3 returns for 107 yards. A long of 53, which I think started off the game in Broncos territory, was absolutely awesome. Now, speaking of special teams, we also got to give a nod to Michael Badgley. Okay, he hit 4 of 4 of his field goals, 1 of 1 of extra point. He really has been showing signs of what made him special last year, and honestly, I have more faith in him going into week 17 because he is slowly but surely and persistently grabbing his nickname back of Money Badger, so I don't want to see anybody calling him Broke Badger anymore. I think he's begun to re-earn our respect. And part of me is kind of wondering, like, what's going on with Chargers kickers in general? Is it the kickers themselves, or is it maybe how the special teams has been run? Because you look at past Chargers kickers like Josh Lambo, Younghoe Koo, definitely have shined after leaving the Chargers. Is Michael Badgley kind of in that same category for the Chargers, where he's a really good kicker, but maybe in a poorly ran special teams unit? Now that things are starting to level out a little bit, he's starting to perform again. So maybe it wasn't on Michael Badgley this whole time. Maybe it was on how the special teams was ran. But still, it's something to think about. Good game from Michael Badgley. Now, the next thing I want to do is give a nod to the depth that we have at tight end. We all knew that Hunter Henry was not going to be playing this week, and honestly, our depth guys really did step in and do a good job. Stephen Anderson and Donald Parham, these guys going for like, what, 90-something yards on 6 targets. Anderson, to me, looked really nice. Donald Parham, to me, looked really nice as well. But in the absence of Hunter Henry, wow, did these guys step up. And this really does answer a couple of questions for me. You know, the Chargers, as we stand right now in the draft, I'd keep doing a ton of mock drafts. Kyle Pitts keeps, falling to me in that position. I have to really think it over because Kyle Pitts in this offense could be absolutely ridiculous. But I think with what I saw on Sunday, Donald Parham and Stephen Anderson, I don't know if it's necessarily necessary. And what's great about that is that they could definitely develop, I would say, more Donald Parham into something special that's more featured in this offense going forward. Donald Parham, 6'8". He's got some speed on him as well, as we saw this last Sunday. He could definitely develop into that tight end too that the Chargers have been looking for a while. And honestly, pairing him up with Hunter Henry, who I think there has been rumors that we're going to re-sign, I'd be pretty happy with that. So huge nod to the tight ends. Also, a huge nod this week does go to Austin Ekeler. I'm going to say here in the receiving, Austin Ekeler, 3 receptions for 23 yards and a touchdown. Of course, this being the touchdown that helped Justin Herbert break the rookie record for touchdowns in a season, which was spectacular. We're going to get to his reception number here in the con section, but Austin Ekeler continues to look very impressive when utilized as a receiving back, which obviously he should be used more because of his efficiency in that area. And then obviously, I would like to also point out his effectiveness in the second half as a runner. Only 10 carries for 45 yards. That's pretty good. 4.5 yards per carry. That's not bad at all. And we saw a couple of stretches where, when used properly and given space, he definitely carried this team to a win, securing first downs and stuff like that in the second half. So I really liked what I saw from Austin Ekeler this week. I hope they continue to feature him more because, like I say every week, get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. That is where you're going to find the most success. I feel like Justin Herbert understands this, but I'm not quite sure if the staff does quite yet, but we'll get back to that here in a minute. Speaking of getting back to in a minute, going forward on 4th down, okay? We saw a couple instances where the Chargers probably should have done this and they didn't, but we also saw one instance where they did, and maybe it was a little bit riskier. I think it was like 4th and 7 or 4th and 8 and something like that, and they asked Justin Herbert to convert in that circumstance, and honestly, it was all on Justin Herbert that was converted. Didn't seem like anything was open. Justin Herbert saw open space in front of him. He takes it himself for the first down. I think it was like an 8-yard run. So beautiful work by Justin Herbert. I think, again, that stems as proof that when you let Justin Herbert do his thing in circumstances like that, you have to be bold. You have to be brave and courageous and let him do what he does, because he is capable of converting 4th downs, even as we saw from 4th and medium or long. We'll finish up on Herbert here in a minute. The last thing I did want to do is give a nod to our defense, man. This defense was pretty spectacular this week. Guys, Kenneth Murray Jr. I know that Justin Herbert broke the record this week, and that's absolutely fantastic, but Kenneth Murray with that game quietly went over 100 tackles for the season. And again, for a rookie linebacker, that's quite the accomplishment. So if you guys have made it to this point in the video, type a 59 in the chat and type a 10 in the chat to show your appreciation for the rookies that have really stepped in this year and made a difference for this Chargers on offense and on defense. And again, speaking of defenses, we got a couple of interceptions to praise here. Casey Hayward Jr. starting to bounce back a little bit. Hopefully he gets back into rhythm before going to next year. But Mike Williams out of position, playing defense in that last Hail Mary drive, does come up with the interception. And honestly, just as a Chargers fan, that was fun to watch, and that definitely made me happy. But really, guys, as a whole, defense really just came to work today. Only allowed 16 points versus the Broncos, definitely better than last time. Bottled up Melvin Gordon for only 79 yards on 16 carries. A couple of big yardage, gains from the other guys on the team, but honestly, Melvin Gordon getting bottled up, I'm sure most Chargers fans definitely happy to see that. The only thing I would like to see improved from the defense going forward is our pass rush. Not a lot of pressure generated this game, but honestly, we didn't have Joey Bosa. Melvin Ingram's obviously hurt, so the Chargers have some work to do in the offseason to address our pass rush situation. Now we come to the Justin Herbert segment of this video, guys. Justin Herbert this week has gone over 4,000 yards. He is currently number 6 in the league. And again, most everybody around him is a game behind. Josh Allen will likely pass him on Monday Night Football. That should put Justin Herbert pretty comfortable here at the 7 or 6 spot to end the season. So over 4,000 yards, only a handful of quarterbacks in Chargers history have ever done that. And to do that in your first season, oh man, Justin. This guy is looking unstoppable. Now, 28 touchdowns, again, does break the record. We're hoping to get over 30 touchdowns by season's end. But the reason I'm showing you this number here, 4,034, the current NFL record held by Andrew Luck for a rookie quarterback in their first season, as far as passing yardage, is 4,374. Herbert needs, at this point, 341 yards in Week 17 to beat the Chiefs. He also needs only 79 yards to secure the most passing yards per game, which he's obviously going to beat on Sunday. Now, again, as far as a Herbert stat watch, 341 yards is a tall order, but I think absolutely possible considering the circumstances. Now, I won't get into too much detail with this because this will be covered in our pregame video versus the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Chiefs, having clinched the playoff spot and all that kind of stuff, 14-1, something ridiculous like that, they're likely going to be resting their starters, which means that Justin Herbert will likely be going up against second and third stringers, which gives him a very, very good shot at putting up monster numbers. So keep that in mind. 341 yards is the magic number going into Week 17. He could break another record come this Sunday. The last thing I had mentioned here on the pros column is that Jerry Jeudy looked awful. He could have swung the game several times this week, and he did not. So game ball goes to Jerry Jeudy. All right, the cons. Now, I don't want to reflect too much on this because we did get the win. That really is all that matters. The Chargers are starting to churn a little bit, starting to figure out how to win games. Justin Herbert's improving every week, so that's what's really important. Don't mind, dropping in the draft a little bit. Don't mind, the background noise to it. A win is a win. But some of the things that we must improve on going into next season all starts with Anthony Lynn. I know Tony's ears are burning yet again because we bring him up every single week, but his decision-making continues to struggle going into Week 16, and it's things that we've seen over and over and over again this season. So I mentioned in the pros column that, giving it to Justin Herbert 4th and 7, kind of a tall ask, but he delivered. That makes me question why not go for it on 4th and 1. There was a punt from our own 40 on 4th and 1 that honestly kind of just killed the momentum of everything. And this is all same story, different week, right? But the Chargers under Anthony Lynn, they don't have that aggressiveness to just really step on their opponent's throat, keep their foot on the gas, and try to take the win. Like I've been saying this whole year, Anthony Lynn does not play to win. He plays not to lose. And in this division, AFC West, in this modern NFL, that's not going to cut it 99% of the time. And I do think that's why we saw so many struggles in the past. We continue to see very close games like this one this week because honestly, it should not have been this close. It all falls on the shoulders of Anthony Lynn and his conservative play calling. I know a lot of that does fall on Shane Steichen as well, our offensive coordinator, but really Anthony Lynn is in charge of that. He has the power to step in, try to change the culture of our offense because, having a huge lead, blowing a huge lead, all the things that we've seen throughout this season, it's unacceptable. And it's on Anthony Lynn's shoulders to make a change here, make something happen. And that's really a lot of the stuff that I have written down here. Very conservative play calling in the second half. We had a lot of opportunities to seal it early, and we elected to choose safety over aggressive play. And honestly, that can work for teams that have really, really good defenses, which the Chargers don't. We had a decent defense this week, but really you got to play to your teams and your players' strengths. Our strength right now is Justin Herbert. If we had given him the chance to go for it on 4th and 1, which honestly, you got a 6'6" quarterback, let him try and sneak it. We've seen that work several times before. Honestly, the Chargers, the biggest thing that I hate seeing slip through their fingers every week is momentum. I feel like momentum in a football game, especially when you got superstars like Herbert and Eckler and those guys, momentum is super important. And that's often ignored to try and stay safe. It's ignored to try and protect the lead. And that's something that doesn't really fly with me. So yeah, many opportunities to seal the game were squandered. The game was too close. It shouldn't have been. I do want to see Justin Herbert cook. They need to trust in Justin Herbert. I think the next coach we bring in will understand that a little bit better. Guys, if he costs Justin Herbert breaking Andrew Luck's record with his shoddy conservative play calling in the second half. I'm gonna be pretty upset, because it also blows my mind like how differently Justin Herbert's season could have gone if we weren't playing so conservatively in the second half of so many different games, right? If another coach saw his potential and was like, yo, we should let this kid like throw it 99% of the times. He's going to bring us victory because that's the kind of player he is. Defense isn't stepping up. This is the way we're going to win games in 2020. So I think it's easy to say, let's let this kid cook. And it's a shame we don't see that more often. Other things I had written down here, Eckler sees too few of targets. This is something I definitely went over here a moment ago. Austin Eckler in the receiving game, 3 targets for 23 yards and a touchdown. Now, I can probably assume that the Broncos were covering him very well. They know how dangerous he is in open space. But at the same time, you're talking 3 targets, 23 yards, and a touchdown, a long of 11 yards. He was able to take one of those targets for a touchdown. We know the potential and the value of a target to Austin Eckler. He's very friendly to rookie quarterbacks, to Justin Herbert. Easing a guy into the system when he knows he's got a safety valve running back like Austin Eckler that he can dump it off to over and over and still expect to see pretty good results. You got to give him more opportunities to do that. You got to design around Austin Eckler a little bit better. Where are the screens? Where are the swings? Where are the dump offs to Austin Eckler that could produce more yardage than initially perceived, or honestly more yardage than it should? It's because that's the kind of player that you've got in Austin Eckler. So again, kind of comes back to play to your players' strengths and don't force things that don't work, like running up the middle. The run pass thing, all Chargers fans are over that. I'm really hoping we get more creative in 2021. The final thing I have for the Chargers to work on are the drops. This week, we saw quite a few drops from Jalen Guyton. We saw a drop touchdown by Mike Williams. Definitely unfortunate. I mean, Mike Williams, 4 receptions on 10 targets. That's tough, but he's the kind of guy that you try to force the ball into, and he's going to come up with those 50-50 catches. This week, getting pretty close to just 50% of those catches, which is not a great stat line. But Jalen Guyton also dropped a couple of clutch passes as well that could definitely have kept the momentum going on our side. And this is kind of why I want Chargers fans to be open about drafting a wide receiver in 2021. It's probably not the most popular opinion at this point, but the more I do mock drafts and the more I'm looking into these guys, especially where our draft position is right now, I think a wide receiver would both offer value and be an intelligent pick when you're talking about building around Justin Herbert. Because guys like Jalen Guyton and Tyron Johnson, they're pretty good for depth players, but as far as like featured wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and 3, we probably should look to guys like Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith. If we're presented an opportunity to draft him, if there's some sort of value to be had at the number 12 spot, which is what we currently have, I say go for it, man, because less drops, more open routes, more open receivers, more speed in a guy like Jalen Waddle is a great way to build around Justin Herbert. This is the Justin Herbert team now. I think the Chargers need to start really honing in on the players and the pieces that are going to elevate him, because I do feel like Justin Herbert gives us the best chance to win games. So just keep that in mind. Small sneak peek of maybe mock drafts and other content I've got coming in the future. So everybody in the comment section, that's all I've got for today. The Chargers, we got the win, maybe a little bit closer than it should have been, but Justin Herbert breaks records. He has a chance at breaking it this week. Everybody in the comment section, let me know if you do think that Justin Herbert could beat the record next week, and what some of your favorite things were that came out of this game. I think we saw a lot of good going into the next season. The Nasir Adderley, the step up of our tight ends. There's a lot to be optimistic about, but I also do want you to mention the one thing that you're most concerned about with this team going into 2021 outside of Anthony Lynn. I think that's absolutely spoken for. Things that are internal with the players, the way they operate, maybe depth. That's what I want to hear from you guys. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. Enjoy Victory Monday. Wear those bolts loud and proud. We'll see you next time. And as always, guys, bolt up and stay frosty.